So I thought my first solo trip was gonna be like this. I was gonna land in Salamanca, become friends with the person I sat next on the train, and once we arrived, I'd immediately start my first day of conquering the historical landscape of this quaint town. But nah, your girl did the total opposite, and I'm not mad at it, because I needed it. I slept. Like, slept. You know what I'm talking about? The type of sleep that simulates falling down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland. You fall down and down and down, and as you go, you're struggling to remember the world that you left, because you're so caught up with the new world that you've entered. And for me, that world was plush pillows, a heavy blanket, and the narration of Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime. My eyes started to do that thing where they refuse to acknowledge that they've fallen asleep, so they strike open every few seconds to prove that you're awake. But then I finally accepted defeat, because I was sure I was going to wake up after my 45-minute nap. Please, I woke up 3 hours after. No amount of consecutive ringing from my 5 alarms could wake me up. I was ignorant to the pleas of my past self. But when I finally woke up, it was a type of awakening where you're not really sure where you are, which room this is, what time of day it is, what the weather is like, or if you locked the door before passing out. And initially I was disappointed, but then I thought about the gift that this was, and how my body needed it. In any case, while I did spend a good chunk of my first day resting, I did get around to being a tourist, and being able to move around incognito. I think there is such beauty in stepping out of the norm, to show up to a space and not feel any limitation, pressure, or expectation. You can just exist. No one knows who you are, and you can just move around getting things done. I like being in this mode, this kind of incognito mode, being able to exist and discover without limit, to feel like a spectator to the world around me and not be an active participant. To allow my brain to rest, to take in all the stimuli and not worry about my livelihood. To marvel at our existence, because people really be doing the same things and we're honestly all just the same. I found the same aunties talking loud to their relatives on the phone. I found the same teenagers trying to be cool or find the courage to talk to their crush. I found the same fellow tourists who were trying to blend in as locals. Like, it was nice to just watch us, be human in all our glory and shortcomings. Not much to my surprise, when I found myself in this mode, I was often pulling out my journal to write about the world around me, the world that I was in, but not a part of really. I was able to really delve deeper into my thoughts and emotions. Like, what was I scared of? What was I looking forward to? And what was I silently mourning? Then I ended up going more into a macro level of analysis, I guess, and started to write about where I was and how this place looked in the daytime versus the nighttime, and the textures and the choice of fabrics or resources, the way that this place was constructed over time. I also found it interesting to learn about myself during this period, or to be reminded of. Like, I knew these things before, but it was a nice reminder to see how I really prefer Asian food or seafood than anything else. Although I did make sure to have traditional Spanish food, I ended up choosing to have more of a variety of food over the 3 days. On this particular evening, I had ramen, which was fantastic, and it reminded me of when I used to live in Hong Kong for school. And so I also had memories of that time floating back, which I of course journaled about. I think the last thing I'd say about this incognito mode was really about appreciating being able to walk around at night by myself and not be worried about my safety. Because of course, I still kept my wits about me, but it felt nice to be able to maneuver through the light and shadow of the streets and appreciate how much the mood, significance, and beauty of a place changes based on the absence or presence of light.
Let's go. Let's go.
I used to buy postcards primarily for myself. They'd serve as a piece of artwork and a reminder about the trip that I took, the lessons that I learned, my favorite moments, the scarier parts, etc. This time, I decided to send a piece of my journey to someone else. I sent it to my parents. I usually don't really think about my parents on trips. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm used to sending things to my friends on Instagram or, I don't know, Snapchat or something. But this time it felt really good to sit down and write to them, especially to my mom who had been to Salamanca before and was cheering for my discovery miles and miles away. So how would I summarize this trip? Salamanca is beautiful. It's a fantastic town that really shows you the blend of the future, the present, and the past. When I was initially on my journey, I was super nervous for some reason. I even ended up shedding a few tears. I think I was overwhelmed a bit by everything. everything that had happened in the past few weeks and past few months had hit me full force. Plus, just knowing that I was going to be by myself with my own emotions, thoughts, and experiences made me excited. I was excited for the little self-day that was on, so maybe that's where the tears came from. In terms of my favorite places in Salamanca, I love the Tower of Clarecia, especially because I bucked up on it. I wasn't planning on going there, but that's where I ended up after taking various turns. And despite all the stairs that I had to go up, the view at the top was beautiful. It kind of gave me a visual for all the journey and destination quotes that you find on Pinterest. Plaza Mayor was also spectacular. It really made me think about my relationship to time. Thinking about how many people would have passed through this plaza over the years and decades, plus also thinking about what it would have looked like when Plaza Mayor was known to host bullfights. I mean, how cool would it have been to see that? The things that I learned about myself on my solo trip, I'm definitely the most introverted extrovert. I love being with people and things, but my social battery is definitely limited. The next thing is that I really like seeing a place in the day versus at night. I like to see the changes, what a different light source does to a place, how the shadows creep up a bit more at night. Architecture always amazes me because, like, how did people build all these things decades ago? You know, what was the process like to come up with this idea? How did they, think about the design, the structure, etc.? And how did they know, how to create something that was timeless, kind of, or would stand the test of time? And also, writing and reading are so healing, and I definitely want to try and invest in that more. So I'm hoping my little slice of Salamanca, this little video about my solo trip, inspires you to take more time for yourself and adventure a bit outside of your comfort zone.